Hey guys, and welcome back to Pro Speed Baseball. Balance in the swing is utterly critical if we're going to maximize our bat speed, maximize our exit velocity, and just be a generally good hitter. It's so much easier to hit. Everything's easier if we're balanced. But what throws us out of balance? There's a lot of different things. Well, what we're going to cover in today's video is how the hips can throw us out of balance if we don't know how to land properly in our stride. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, guys, we got a lot of great content coming out this year, and if you don't want to miss out, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's the only way you can get notified when we come out with new content. And make sure you hit that like button. That really helps us grow the channel. And if you guys have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Leave them in the comment section below. Now, guys, there's a lot of things that can throw us out of balance in the swing. But today's video, we're going to go over one of the more common ones that I see of the reason why we get off balance, and that is pretty much the hips being out of position when we get into our stride position. Now, first, let's go over real quick exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to have balance in our swing, but what does that exactly mean? Well, real simply put, we want to make sure that we are centered over our body. Where our center of mass is in our body is where our weight is. So if our weight is in our center, we are effectively balanced. Our center of mass is located 2 inches below our belly button. So you can imagine if I'm on a high wire and my center of mass is on the high wire, I'm safe. As soon as it gets off of the high wire, I'm falling. So our center of mass needs to stay in, let's just say for simple math, in the arches of our feet the entire swing so that we can stay balanced. Now, the thing that throws us out of balance with our hips and not being in the right position when our foot lands is prematurely opening up our hips when the front foot lands. So if I start my swing and my hips are already open when the front foot lands, I'm throwing my center of mass all over the place. It can go a lot of different directions. Most of the time, I see it go backwards first, and then we try to throw all of this weight in the bat, all this speed away from us, and then there's this really weird counterbalancing where we'll actually stand up through impact. And I see this a lot, guys, and it's really easily addressed and fixed if we understand what happens in our stride and we're in a good position when our stride foot gets down. Now, guys, just a quick side note for this video. I'm sure if you guys at home have seen a lot of slow motion swings on big leaguers and whatnot, you will actually see the lead hip start to open up maybe right around the same time, maybe a little bit before this front foot gets down. But what we're talking about in today's video is when you have a hitter that's struggling with these hips being too far open when that front foot gets down. So keep in mind that the swing happens extremely fast. And if we can work on what we're talking about in today's video, if we have this problem, over time, when we start getting used to it, the hips will start firing more in sync and everything will come together very nicely. So we know from the Don't Step Into the Ball video that we want to make sure that our hands haven't started towards the ball until our front foot gets down. Now we're taking it a little bit of a step further. We want to make sure that not only do our hands not start before our foot gets down, again, this can happen in a split second, but the hands can't start before the foot gets down. We also want to make sure that our hips are not opening before the front foot lands. So for really simple math, guys, this can be explained really complicated or really simply, which it should be explained simply. We need to know where our front hip is when we land. If our front hip is in position, then we are going to be able to allow our hips to stay balanced in the swing. So now that they can fire and in sync with our body, but not only in sync, but also in balance. So what we need to do is know where our front hip is pointing. If you take your bat, just like I'm doing here, and you place it on your lead hip, and this is going to show us the direction of our bat. So this would be kind of a 90-degree angle off my body. If I'm standing right on home plate, that's going to hit the center field fence perfectly. That's where my lead hip is. If we know where this is, then we can fix this issue. So what it's simply going to do is when we get into our load stride position, our lead hip needs to be square to our feet, or even in this case, a little bit closed if we're having a problem with our hips opening up too soon. So what that looks like from down the line is if I get into my load stride position, my hips are pointing up the center of the field or even a little bit closed. This is going to help me start to feel where my hips need to be when I land. Now, after we land, this happens so fast, it's unbelievable. After we land, everything's going to be firing. We all know, time to impact can be anywhere from 0.15 seconds to 0.2 seconds, somewhere in there. It happens so fast that, if we're out of position, it can get out of position even faster. So what we're going to do is simply get into our load stride position. We're going to make sure that our hip is in a good spot and our foot's already preset and down. Now we have no choice but to have our hips in a good spot. Now we have a chance to stay balanced in the swing. So when you do this drill, it's vitally important to keep your lead foot on the ground when you make your swing so you can start developing the feel for where your hips need to be when the foot lands. So what that looks like is if I get into my load stride position, I know my hips are pointing up the center of the field, and then I'm going to make my swing, and now my hips can fire not only at their maximum capability, but I can also stay balanced. Let me show you what that looks like from down the line. I'm going to get into my load stride position. My hips are square. My foot is staying down. And now my hips can stay balanced in the swing, and I've got a lot of room to let them open. Guys, if the hips are opening before the foot gets down, how am I supposed to fire them? They're already almost completely done with the swing. If we don't have anything left to fire, we can't fire them. It's really that simple. So once you get the load stride drill down, the load stride swing drill down where you know where your hips are, then start putting it into your game speed swing where you're going to start feeling your hips being under control. When that front foot lands, everything is square, and then you let everything fire from there. So even if I have a big leg kick and I'm down, and my hips are still square before I fire to the ball, even if it happens really, really fast. So if I do a game speed swing, I'm going to make sure my hips are good. And now I can stay perfectly balanced. I can keep my center mass over the center of my feet the entire swing. Guys, this is vitally important because if this is getting screwed up, if we get screwed up in the stride and our hips are prematurely opening, we're cooked from the get-go. Guys, get your hips square when you land so that you have something to fire and you can stay balanced. Now, not only is it insanely important to be in the good position with our hips when they land, we also have to know how to shift our weight into the ball. I got a great bonus video for you guys. I'm going to play one of our best weight shift videos so you can start learning how to do this right away. If you click on the link in the top left-hand corner of your screen or in the link in the description below, you can get instant access to this video, and it's going to show you how to get started on shifting your weight properly so that you can maximize the use of your hips. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to now start showing how our weight shift is involved with the release of the bat. We just simply need to understand exactly where we want to be in our weight shift. So we're going to get a lot more specific. We're going to be talking about the timing of getting the back pocket in front of the tee at the same time we're hitting the ball. But the first thing we need to do, guys, is we need to rep this out and make sure that we can definitely get the weight transfer that we need. So we're going to put our arms across our chest. We're going to get at least 100 repetitions